Okay, YouTube, this is my first try. German by birth, American by choice. If you would ask me why I wanted to do this video log or to write a book, there is really not one right answer. Rather, a multitude of reasons come to my mind, and it is hard to get them in any order. It seems to be that the order of reasons change with the mood I'm in, the person who is asking, or simply how I feel when that question is asked. Maybe it's because from the earliest of my memories I can recall there had been a feeling of misplacement, and indeed parts of this video log will be telling you about coming home and what it means to me, about longing, belonging, and I will share impressions, pictures with you that I was never able to really put into their place. My first memories as a child are scattered and incomplete, but they are undoubted part of my journey. And who and what I have become, and the best I can, I will try to only reveal those very own memories and impressions, things and situations I have experienced myself, and I can be the eyewitness and first-person teller. Though I may have here and there shared a few telltales to share and quotes by friends and family about me. Since I remember, I always loved music. Music has been for me consolation and encouragement. It has calmed me down when aggravated and provided me with that extra boost when I was getting tired on long drives. Certain music will most likely put me in a certain mood, and with most of my memories there are certain songs, music, titles, pieces connected. At the same time, I always have been very visual, and music is most certainly connected with pictures in those visions. Simply closing my eyes and listening to music, I often can recall and I can escape into my own world of memories and fantasies. I don't know if you have created a place like that for yourself. Sometimes I think I'm just like anybody else, and other times I feel nobody else will ever be capable of understanding me. That place in my mind has kept me often safe and sane. Drifting away into the safe haven I considered that in my youth a curse. But I have learned later on that initial evaluation was definitely wrong. And as I get more and more entangled in life and its challenges and the responsibilities that go along with growing up, today I deem disability a gift from God and one of the greatest blessings. There are many situations and a few people in my life that had more impact on where or what I am today. Mostly situations and people are connected, and together they often represent the compass of my journey. You will learn about most of them in this book, but there are a few I will keep to myself. There are my parents and their struggle of just getting along, having succumbed to duties and responsibilities put upon them by others. There's my first best friend, Bernd, my first real girlfriend, Ingrid, my first wife, Jute, and the mother of my two children. There is Raymond, my friend and climbing partner during more than a decade, and my first flight instructor, George, and then my second wife, Rhonda. People came and went, and some are still with me today. They all are left fingerprints, and situations left their marks, and it's hard to put them into any order of importance, though it is very easy for me to call them out and call out the one most important and most cherished experience in my life. The birth of my daughter Nadine and my son Benjamin, and I'm sure that the most important challenge of my life will be when I have to leave this earthly planet. And join the eternal circle of life, whatever and wherever that might be. For most of the first 24 years of my life, I was not very religious. I grew up watching my mother drifting into a state of faith that made me often doubt her mental state at that time. I endured the visits of her brother Gottfried, the godfather of my eldest brother and a missionary in Argentina, a shining example for stubbornness and ignorance when it came to his Catholic religion. He had chosen that as his profession as a priest. I remember him as the one driving me away from the religion and church that I was born into, the reason to finally quit Catholic Church with 16, after my mother had died in pain. Too early for me as a boy, holding on to her religion and encouraged by her brother not to let her surgeons remove a cyst from her spinal cord that was causing the pain and finally killed her. I remember my uncle as the tragic person preaching in my mom's memorial service about the blessings dying firm in her face and about the luck of being able to pass out of this world with a prayer on her lips. My resemblance of those events were quite different. Seeing my mother withering away in excruciating pain, where painkillers had long stopped providing more than a few hours of relief and poisoned her fragile body. I remember how she finally contracted pneumonia from laying unable to move in her hospital bed after having open sores all over her body. I remember the months before she was hospitalized when my brother Joseph and I had to help her onto a bedpan and feed her every bite. I was relieved when she passed away, relieved for my mother that God finally had ended her suffering. I felt relieved for the 16-year-old boy spending almost every afternoon after school at her side. I felt relieved and guilty at the same time, being the person that had called the paramedics when she was laying in agony at home one day. I was responsible that her initial prophecy that she would never leave that hospital alive finally came true. I couldn't see any happiness, luck, or blessing seen in her fever of her last days and hours, reciting parts of prayers, not recognizing anybody around her. I hated God. I hated him for letting this happen to her. I hated my uncle for being so insensitive and sacrificing his own sister to his religion. And I hated the Catholic Church as the religion he stood for and that in my eyes had killed my mother. Years later, in that delivery room, when the nurse put my daughter into my hands, I realized that God never had been a part of my traumatic experiences I had had with people claiming to represent him here on earth. That morning, I could agree with George Strait. I saw God today. I know that this miracle of a child's birth can be analyzed and explained, and some scientists at all times have tried to degrade it to a mere evolutionary process of reproduction. To me, it always will be a miracle, and after the birth of my children, I started to recognize the handwriting of our Lord in many miracles surrounding us I had ignored for so long. If you stop reading or listening to this video log about now, deciding that what I have to tell you is just not your thing, I understand. And you may feel that you have wasted time and a few dollars. But, listening so far, I cannot deliver a recipe for living a happy life or even how to do things better. You will have to find out those things by yourself. Copying my way of finding my way of living would just make you living my life. And while it has worked for me, most likely it will not work for you, since you are not me. If you give it a try, though, you may find that we have been through some of the same struggles, and some of my decisions might work for you. There's a few adjustments here and there, or just an adjustment to the point of, or of your you, or it just might be able to point you in a new direction. I'm quite certain that reading was was another one of those curses and blessings. I have read a few hundred, maybe a few thousand books, some because teachers made me read them, some because I thought I should have read them to be part of the in crowd and able to strike a conversation, some because friends had told me they would be good reading. I still love to stroll through bookstores. Books have something magical for me. It is as if you are able to meet the author, discover a piece of the mind of a person. I've read novels, science books, studied many religions, inhaled autobiographies, often wishing to really be able to meet the author. I agreed, I disagreed, but most and for all I found that expanding my horizon that way gave me the ability starting seeing things from perspective different than my own. I started realizing that boredom is just the growing disability to use our senses and see, smell, taste, and experience all the miracles that are surrounding us. So, in closing of this, I started writing down this loose collection of memories and experiences in December 2010, just because I had a feeling, if not for anybody else, I should have this as something I can leave to my children and to my friends and maybe to their children, to whoever knows me. Today, I think my story might have to tell many people something, because I really believe I am not any special person. I am not especially intelligent. I am not especially dumb. I did not make more or less mistakes than others did. And as stated before, I probably have gone through most of the struggles that most of us out there go through their life. But just take the time and see what's coming your way. I promise there is some fun to be found in there. My life has been a blessed life after all. And today, a few days short of my 60th birthday, I have found that I learn every day. And once I opened up for learning, once I opened up my mind, I found that this place, this world, is really a place to be enjoyed and not one to be feared, not one to be dreaded, not one that you should wish to leave as soon as you can. And it uncovered many, many miracles for me and still does every day. So bear with me, bear with some long-winded stories, some explanations, and see if there is anything for you to pick. You're welcome to do. Thank you.